Hello, welcome. My name's Melissa Newman of Rising Strong Holistic Healing. I'm an end-of-life consultant, and this channel is all about communicating to death, dying, grief, and spirituality. Today I want to talk in the context of spirituality, the path of soul mastery, and what it looks like, the 7 things that a spiritually awake person lets go of as they walk this path of soul mastery. So I've been reflecting over the past week, reflecting over my past 6 months, because I've actually had quite a significant change in my life. It's been a wonderful journey of absolute synchronicities, but I reached a point because I'm now settled in a new location. So I had a big relocation, and now that I'm settled, I've already been sort of diving back into my work, but I'm kind of now like getting traction with where everything is going, but I felt unsettled. I felt like I was navigating a space I was unsure of, and I couldn't initially pinpoint it. And as I was reflecting, I realized that this journey that I've been actually on, I've been going through I guess you could say, an alchemization, as many of us have been going through, light activations. There's been an increase of light coming into my body as my body is actually literally changing into a higher consciousness. And with that change, with change as always, there's that sense of uncertainty. But for me, it was just like I was in waters that I didn't understand. And when I reflected, I realized it was like a computer program. When we get a computer program or a software package, when it's new and we haven't used it before, we know it. So I know how to live in this earth. We know, but then you have to learn these new things as the new program comes in. And that's what I realized what was taking place with me is like, I feel like I'm actually navigating different waters. I haven't been here before. And so it really made me reflect on how far I've come. I started reflecting on my journey over the last 8 years, and like I've really, because I'm in a state of peace and bliss and joy, I really just feel happy with life. I have immense love with just life, the moments, the present moment on every given day. And in some ways, I was kind of thinking, is this bubble going to burst? And not wanting it to. And I was reflecting on how much I had let go of on this journey. Because when we reflect, it empowers us. And that's what I was looking to do. I'm empowering myself on how to move forward in this new journey, in this new chapter, in these uncharted waters initially as a more conscious and awake human being or being, soul. I see myself more as soul than I am, I guess, the human ego, because I've actually let go of so much. And so these 7 things came up for me this week. 7 things that a spiritually awake person lets go of. And the number 1 was the need to be right. This was hugely me back in the day, prior to 10 years ago, prior to even probably 8 years ago. This was truly a behavior, I guess, that I had, the need to be right. I guess it's like believing that your opinions and your beliefs and your way of doing things is the only way. And so I started really reflecting on this in the early parts of the journey, because I, didn't really like how I felt if I was trying to dominate, I guess, or influence other people, or maybe manipulate, because it's a form of manipulation as well, trying to get people to follow your way of doing things. It means that you're not open. And when we're not open, then we're to what if there is another way, and what if this other way is better by following someone else's way of doing something, then we can often miss so many opportunities for growth because we become stagnant in our way. So I learnt to let go of that need to be right and become more of a listener and be more open-minded that, hey, what if I could actually learn something here? And so I changed a lot of that about who I am. So maybe reflect in your life, where do you perhaps feel the need to be right all the time? That your way is the only way. It's your way or the highway. Because that kind of presence, or it's not even presence, that kind of existence comes from a place of not wanting to feel less than. It's actually coming from a place of unworthiness. You don't want to be less or feel less than. That was huge on my journey. So maybe perhaps reflect on your journey. Is there anywhere in your life experiences where you have the need to be right, and why? Can you let go and go, what if I could learn something here? So 2, the addiction for approval from others. Whoa, this was huge with me. A lot of this was. And this is a behavior that aims to determine your worth. You know, if you get approval or validation from others, oh, all of a sudden I'm now worthy. That need for approval to fit in. All of this comes from that place of pleasing others. And when we're pleasing others, we're betraying ourselves. And when we're also pleasing others, we're doing so they feel comfortable in their own skin, so they feel happier. But what about you? Don't you deserve happiness? I know I certainly did, and I never allowed that. And so it's a learning to become unapologetically you. It doesn't mean that you're mean to others, and it just means you have a belief of who you are. You actually understand your values. You know where you kind of belong in the world. And when you can really start to understand that, because learning your values, true values, your values, not your parents and not your husbands or your wives or everybody else around you, your values. Where did your values come from? Why do you believe certain things? That was a huge, long journey, moving through that. And I really, really, truly learnt, to understand, I guess, who I was, the true nature of me. And I didn't need to change myself. And people could either like me, love me, or not. And that was okay. But it takes a lot, because us humans want to fit in and feel as if we belong. But our worth does not come outside of us. It must only come from, we must, I've written about this before, we must belong to ourselves first and foremost. And so the third one is a habit of complaining. Wow, the habit of complaining. We humans do that a lot. One, I hear it with my parents all the time because they're so set in their ways. When you ring the oldies and it's God love them, I say this with absolute respect, because they haven't been able to understand that, like life's actually more than the lack that they see before their eyes. And they do the very best they can. But this habit of complaining is complaining that we don't have enough money, complaining we don't have enough, um, uh, I don't know, enough work. We don't have enough, complaining about the weather, there's not enough sunshine, complaining about the rain. Everything has a purpose. When we can understand everything in life is flowing perfectly. The rain, the wind, our experiences, everything has a purpose. Even like going to restaurants and we might complain about waitresses or our food not being good enough or taking too long to cook. I know you understand what I'm trying to say here. So we complain about life, that life is lacking. And the problem that actually creates is that when you understand that we are powerful manifestors, when we complain, if you can actually have a look how much energy we put into our complaints, there's a lot of emotion, especially when we're not happy about something. We can have those emotions of anger, annoyance and frustration, and that energy, that emotion is what fuels and helps manifest more of that experience that you don't like. So this habit of complaining comes from a lack of consciousness, or lack consciousness, I should say, a lack consciousness, where we just feel like we don't have enough. And that's that not enough story. If you find that you have a lot of experiences of not enough, then if we remain in that story, that victim story of not enough, of lack consciousness, we're going to keep creating that. We have to change our narrative. And so for me, again, that was a huge thing that I had to learn, is wherever I noticed the stories of not enough, if I was complaining, I was actually reframing my narrative and letting go these old stories, which took time. So to be able to let those stories go and let that habit of complaining go, we have to be able to, the best way to be able to do that is to move into a place of gratitude and appreciate everything that comes your way, no matter how it comes to you. For example, I am a person that loves a good coffee, a good, strong, consistent coffee. If I get a really good, strong, consistent coffee, if I bought it out, then I would be happy. But back in the day, if it was cold or if it was this or that or not strong enough or came to me like flavored milk, I was never happy, and I would sit there and just like complain. But what I actually started to do is to actually go, okay, I'm going to reframe this. This is the best coffee ever. It may not be, but if I just reframe and just be appreciative and thank the people anyway, and just say thank you, and just be, okay, let that go. It wasn't perfect today. That's okay. And I did lots of this, and this is how I sort of began to break that habit of complaining. Wherever, to pull myself up, and wherever I saw lack in my consciousness, my thoughts, my words, my reactions, then I reframed it and reminded myself to be more grateful, to be grateful, even if I was planning to go for a walk and I was hoping for a sunny day, and if it's windy and blowing a gale, I'm going to get out there and do it anyway, because you never know still how enjoyable that can be. It can be freaking nuts. That is what I'm finding here. The wind is just phenomenal. So I've been actually learning to embrace these really strong winds. So the next thing is the need to control everything around us, to control life. And this is basically a clinging to life out of fear of unsafety and uncertainty. Wow, that's again been a huge experience of mine, I would say, because I would say most of my life I have felt unsafe. I've never felt safe for many different reasons, and that created a lot of worry about the future and a lot of unrest, wishing I could change the past. But the two things that we can't do is change our past or control our future. All we can do is be in the present moment, and that's what I was learning, to be fully present, no matter my experience, to always embrace whatever comes my way. It's taken a lot, but this is, and you get better at it. You do it as you need it, but that need to control is us reacting or responding to life. I reacted to life a lot. Now I just respond, and it's so much more peaceful. Because I'm okay with whatever comes my way. I actually learnt to say that as a affirmation every day, that I choose to embrace all experiences, even the ones that maybe challenge me, because in those moments are the greatest learning. It's the moments that give us the greatest learning. And so the more I got used to doing that, it became natural. And so I'm more natural with the way that I am present with life these days. I respond, I stand back and observe. I'm an observer of life. I'm a listener. I listen and I observe. And so I have no need to control. But I did actually go through a big learning of this with my relocation from Queensland to Adelaide, because I was getting all these messages being encouraged to move, and it didn't, in the ego mind, make sense to me. It really didn't. The only part that made sense was because I had family here in Adelaide. And I thought, well, if I was to do it, well, that would be the main reason why I would make this move. And it's like, but can I guarantee that they'll always be in Adelaide? No. They could up and leave. I could make this big move. And that was one thing that was kind of on my mind, is like, am I going to, uproot myself as felt I was being guided, but I wasn't really trusting it. And so that whole journey, when I finally accepted, okay, because I've come so far on this journey, I know the spiritual messages, and it's really important, especially on this journey, to listen to these messages, because it's actually for us. And so I had to trust the uncertainty. I didn't know actually what was going to transpire when I got here. It could have taken me months, could have taken me 6 months or more perhaps, to find somewhere to live. I didn't want to burden my family by living in their spare room. So that was on my mind. And so I had all this uncertainty. And so what I've learnt is in that experience, one, I let go, I surrendered. Once I realized that this is what I'm meant to do, stop ignoring the messages, follow my heart. Who knows, I might have an exciting journey getting here. Who knows how amazing this could actually be. And so that was one of my biggest, probably almost like big moments of really learning to trust spirit, surrender to life. And in that surrender, it was with absolute full faith. And so what I do now on this journey, what I'm now able to do is I allow spirit. If you want me to go left, I go left. If you want me to go right, I go right. Just guide me, because I put now all my trust in the guidance of where I need to be. And now that I'm doing that, the synchronicities are phenomenal. My life has been flowing like nothing else. And this is part of the reason why I share this. So the need to control, wow, that's been massive for me. I thought I was actually doing pretty good in that space, but no, I still didn't fully comprehend what it meant to surrender fully in absolute faith. So I had no idea where my each day was going. I had a concept, the human concept, of roughly what I was meant to achieve here. And everything fell into place, even the home that I visualized. So the need to control was huge, but it means truly trusting life and handing over the reins to let life lead you. That takes absolute courage. You might make decisions that other people think, oh my God, that other people would not do. But that's because it's out of fear they would not do that. But that sways us. That influences us and our decisions. And we've got to stop allowing other people to influence us. We can receive information to make informed choices, but that's all that should be, so that you can discern your truth. So this is a huge one, control, and allowing life to lead you, because it's going to be far greater than you can even imagine. And so what is connected to that experience is, which is number 5 for me, the ability to let go of living in the past, so that and not worrying about the future. So what that looks like for me is, I've had, I would say, a life of struggle. And so that struggle has been the story always in the back of my mind that has created my fear of uncertainty, and unsafety to make certain decisions or to make big moves. And so what I'm now not doing is, that I've been able to let go of, is not to allow my past to repeat itself. With absolute trust and faith in the now, that my future is going to be as it needs to be, and I don't even need to worry about tomorrow. So this is where I don't really goal plan anymore. That's a huge change for me. And I'm actually still learning that, because I am a driven person. I kind of feel like I've always been that person. This is actually probably the one thing that I'm still learning to let go of in this new existence of living. This is where I've said at the beginning of the video, I feel I'm in uncharted waters, because I've been that person that has been goal driven, control, making sure I get certain outcomes. It's force. But as a spiritual being, we actually are meant to let all that go. We are now being guided as higher conscious beings not to run to calendar schedules, time will become non-existent. So not even living between a 9 to 5 day, a 7 day, a 5 day working week. We are supposed to be fluid with life. And this is what I was doing on my journey, where I was fluid, meaning I didn't have to work Monday to Friday. This is how it kind of first started. I stopped working Monday to Friday, and I allowed myself to work any day between Monday and Sunday, but there was no end. I never worked from Monday to Sunday and started a new week. I just kept this flow of wherever I felt I was being led. Sometimes I mastered that well, and other times I didn't. But I tend to do that with quite ease now, absolute ease. Although this week, because I'm trying to make some things come to fruition next year, and I'm in the tricky waters, if I'm honest, because I'm actually sitting back and saying, okay, Spirit, guide me, tell me what to do today. That's going to be weird for many people. It's still a bit weird for me. And so I'm actually trying to adjust to this new way of being on a different level, where everything just flows, but not Monday to Friday and not 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I come and go. If I want to go out and mow my lawns on a Monday and I don't have clients, then I'm going to go mow the lawns because it's sunny. That's perfect, because it's sunny and it works. And then I come in and I do some more work. And then the next day I've got, whatever bookings I might have. Yes, that's a structure because people are booking. But then the flow of my week, I can have then a day full of clients. But then if I'm on the Wednesday, if I think, I might go do this because I can work, I can do this work on the computer on the weekend, it makes no difference whether I do it Wednesday or Saturday. And this is the flow with life. But I am still adjusting a little bit to that new way of being. So no longer living in the past, no longer worried about the future, but I'm actually fully present just to be in each moment as it presents itself and embracing each moment, however that comes up. So if I need to actually rest because I'm exhausted, then I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to rest, or I'm going to take time out and go for that walk. And so the sixth one is the habit of judging others. So I've let a huge amount of this go. The habit of judging is the way people talk, walk, act, maybe judging other people's beliefs, maybe seeing things as right or wrong, whatever it looks like in your life. That judgment I found is actually it's quite subtle at times. I have found that in different experiences, I can't even really sort of pinpoint one to share as an example, but I had let go a lot of judgment, but I didn't realize even to the level of unconscious judgment that we do. That was really interesting on my journey, but I still have moments where if I was to judge someone, like if I was walking down the street and you might see something that just looks different to maybe what you might do, the way someone might behave, I'm actually very aware to create a thought with what I'm seeing. So like if someone's been maybe, I don't know, just a Fruit Loop and just being silly or what have you, and we might sort of look at them and think what a Fruit Loop, what a pelican, or what have you. And yeah, that's a judgment. Why are they a pelican? And so that's what I've learned not to do, because I guess I used to look at a lot of people, and we do that. It's almost like you almost can't not do it. But the skill is to catch yourself out. And if you see someone and you're going to think a thought or say something in your head, it's just like, no, cancel, delete. I'm not going there. And that's kind of what I do. because actually don't want to really put that energy out there anyway. And one, who am I to judge at the end of the day? Because other people could be looking at me thinking exactly the same. Who are we to judge? Yeah, so that's one that I thought that was really interesting. But I guess when I think about it as well, what have I learnt in that space? I've learnt a greater level of compassion, because you can actually look at people and actually have compassion for whatever it is that you might be judging. That compassion, if perhaps you're judging someone for their behavior, you've got to also remember, this is a great example actually. This is one that I always teach in my mentorship. That is, if we're seeing someone being hurtful to us and we judge them for that person is so cruel, da 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 da. But what we're actually forgetting is that we too can be cruel. Us humans can be the both side of every emotion. We can be loving and we can be cruel and unkind or hateful. We can be happy or sad. We can be angry or happy. We can be we're both emotions. So for us to actually judge others, we've got to remember that we too are that. So we're not perfect, right? In that sense, where that shadow self and the light self, we're both. We're always going to be one or the other. And this is what the spiritual path is, to be more walking in the shoes of soul, from a higher consciousness, to be loving as more often as you can than you are hateful, to be less angry and more happy and peaceful. That is the goal of spirituality, really, is being more love than we are fear. That's in a nutshell. So the seventh one is victims of victims of circumstance. This is a big one for all of us. And when you look at this, everything that I'm saying today, the key things are, we do all of this out of unworthiness, needing to fit in, not enough, the stories of not enough, and the victimhood stories of why me, poor me. And so victims of circumstance keep us stuck. Means we can't ever move forward. We can actually do this quite a lot unconsciously. It's been a huge thing, I think, even for me to unlearn and not become stuck in my stories, because I certainly could be. I've had enough experiences in this life, like we all have, of abuse and disrespect and all sorts of things. The experiences I could have, and I was there for a long time, stuck in the story of why me, rather than what can I learn from this experience. That's so powerful if we can reframe our narrative when we're in that victim story, which is what I've learned to do, is one, all of this is about catching ourselves out, and to reframe our narrative. Because if we are stuck in that story, we are stuck in the past, because one, we're fearful of moving towards the future. And there's lots of reasons for that, because you could have been a person that was, highly abused physically and mentally and emotionally. So it is fearful to move towards the future. You always have to feel safe. And there is actually a beautiful way that you can do that on a daily basis, which I would love to share. Actually, if you're curious about that, please drop a message down below, because I have a beautiful hot tip that will actually help you move out of that unsafety. Wow, it was a big aha moment for me. So it's powerful. I would love to share that with anyone that feels that they need to receive that information freely. And so this victim story is going to keep you stuck because of many different reasons, but the two main is that you feel unsafe and you feel uncertain. And even one thing that you can actually do to try to navigate that is actually list out why you're unsafe, list out all the risks and the consequences of moving forward. And when you become aware of, oh, okay, and can I handle that? You'll actually go, oh, I can actually move forward. And you take a step forward with a decision that you make, and then navigate that where you are and what that is in that moment, and then you keep doing that. So it's so important that we start to reclaim our lives, reclaim our power that was taken away from us most often than not by others. That creates that unsafety. It's time to know that you are safe in this world. And through those baby steps, like me, you will reach this place of absolute just joy and safety in the world. Trust me, you will. But it takes effort. And so when you start to reclaim your personal power, you start to bring back happiness in your life. You start to build your self-esteem naturally. You start to build your confidence naturally. I have had to do all of this, and so can you. Because what that's also doing is enabling us to see solutions rather than problems. That is a big, big thing. We start to look at life as by literally what are the risks, what are the consequences, okay, what's the worst that could happen if I take this step? That is problem solving, right? That is positioning you into a place of power that, okay, well, if this arises, then what will I do? I'll go A, B, C, you know, and then if that doesn't happen, perfect. Keep moving forward. So to release, I might refer to some of my notes here. So to release these 7 things, 1, it enables us to stop looking outside of ourselves as we start looking within, because life is a choice moment to moment. Every moment of awareness that you can catch onto or latch onto or catch, every moment of a conscious choice to let go of what no longer serves you moves you closer to your most true nature of self. You can then become more of the person who you truly are. Feeling safe, feeling confident in your skin. But change takes time. And the goal isn't about perfection, because you on that path of walking this path of soul mastery, you have days where you actually feel really strong and empowered, to have a strong mindset, a higher perspective in all of your experiences. And then there's days where you fall back, you fall off the wagon, and that's okay. As long as you can keep getting back up. It's like, okay, today wasn't my perfect day. Today I was poor me, but tomorrow, I'm going to get up and I'm just going to do it again. And it's that constant ability and will and heart desire to be able to get back up each time. And I find anyone that's truly on this path of soul mastery has a real deep heart desire to be the best version of themselves. And so when we embody the higher qualities, we inspire others to do the same. We give others permission, as I am giving you permission to do now. But it's not easy. I know. I've walked the trenches. I've wanted to give up. I thought I was wasting my time. I thought many times I was being delusional. But they're just all things of the ego that try to stop you from being your true nature self. And when you can let go of these 7 limiting circumstances, patterns of behavior, then you get to experience happiness, love, and peace as I do on a more, that is more my experience nowadays than it is fear. But it doesn't mean that those moments of the ego wanting to come in and kind of bring in thoughts, illusions that aren't true, that will still happen, but you become less disturbed by those experiences because you're more in control and you know the truth. You know that illusion is not true, and so you don't buy into it like you used to. It is a complete process of remembering that you are a spiritual being and you are enough, so be it. Be it unapologetically. Be it, so be it. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helps you on your path, and I look forward to bringing forward another video soon. Thank you. Namaste.